everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, November 17th, 2019. Let's kick this chat off with a poll. I would like to know from you, what are your first impressions of New Chance? Are you liking him? Are you not liking him? Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? YRChat.com is our website. Go there, vote in the poll. Tell me what you're thinking about this actor. I mean, I really like him. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting to have this strong of a reaction to him immediately, but I think the guy is a really good actor. He seemed instantly comfortable with everyone that he was in a scene with. I got the feeling that he'd known some of these people for years. And on top of it, I just think the guy has a real presence about him. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was just the turtleneck and jacket combo in the vintage brown, caramel brown color, but he was giving me a real 1970s TV movie star vibe, like leading man from the 70s vibe with his kind of wavy hair, not short, not long. I like him in every way. I like his presence. I think he's good looking. He pretty much already has Phyllis and Abby fighting over him. I mean, he's practically already dating Abby while having a whole love-hate thing going on with Phyllis. A couple weeks ago, Adam was disavowing Victor and the entire Newman family. This week, he stops by the ranch to ask Victor for a favor. Is it cool if he takes Connor to Hope's farm? Apparently, Victor is the one who owns it. I didn't remember that, but it's good to know. I think Victor should give the farm to Adam as a gift. Seems like it should belong to Adam and not to Victor. But anyway, Victor agrees that it would be a good thing for Adam and Connor to go on out to Hope's farm, see that big, beautiful, was it an elm tree? A big, beautiful elm tree that has Victor's initials carved into it. And Victor even gives little Connor a pocket knife so that when he gets to the farm, he also can carve his initials right into the tree next to Victor's and to Adam's. Great idea, Victor. Give the kid who is troubled and in counseling because he locked another kid in a dark garage and also threw himself off of the top of the jungle gym. Give that kid a knife. Give that kid a weapon. This is some A+ grandparenting here. I mean, you could see the look on Connor's face when Victor handed him the knife. I screen capped it, of course, but he was looking at the knife very happily, like, yay! I can't wait to take this to school. I can't wait to show this to those bullies who have been hounding me about my mom and my dad and my family. Can't wait to flash them this little piece of silver. Or maybe he'll just show it to little Christian again. Corner him and show it to him. I mean, it has a terrible idea written all over it. Hopefully, Adam confiscated the knife. But the whole world right now it's whatever Connor wants, Connor's gonna get because he is troubled. We have to put all of our focus on to Connor, and Connor wants to go to the farm, but he doesn't want to just go with Adam. He wants Chelsea to come along too. Connor wants, at this point, probably more than anything, for his parents to be reunited. So even though Chelsea told Adam to take the kid and get out of town, in not those words, Adam decides to take Connor to stop by the Grand Phoenix Hotel to visit Chelsea one more time and ask her one more time if she would be willing to go with them to the farm. And while he's there, Adam walks in on Simon threatening Chelsea some more. And at the same time that Adam sees Simon threatening Chelsea, Simon glances over and sees the FBI agent, the real FBI agent, not just Kevin and Chloe, who's getting ready to bust him. Agent Smith, sitting there at the bar, apparently Chance's partner, is supposedly finishing up a year-long sting operation to catch Simon. And this guy, Agent Smith, goes to stand up from the bar and accidentally flashes his weapon right in front of the perp. And Simon sees it. I mean, some professionalism there from the FBI. Where did they find this guy? Come on. It completely blew a year-long mission. Simon realized that the feds were actually on to him. And so he panics and just decides to hold everyone in the hotel hostage. He forces Abby to lock down the hotel. No one can come in, no one can go out. Thank goodness that Phyllis installed that doorbell. I mean, silent alarm that looked exactly like a doorbell. Right underneath the desk at the check-in counter. Because since this FBI operation was so scarcely man-powered, it was just Chance and good old Agent Smith, good for nothing, Abby was able to push the silent alarm and alert the police. So we get some backup reinforcements here. Paul steps in, and Paul, first thing he does is decides to move the entire Genoa City Police Department over to Crimson Lights to set up shop, you know, for cappuccinos and hostage negotiating. Why didn't they set up at the police station? Is Crimson Lights located close to the hotel? Was that the idea? Or was the entire GCPD out for a walk? And Paul just said, all right, you guys, we got a call. Busts down the door of Crimson Lights and takes over the place. Maybe Crimson is right across the street from the hotel. Let's go with that. And Paul just wanted to be closer to the action where he's gonna now be negotiating with Simon. I don't know why the FBI wouldn't be doing that, but hey, it gave us Paul, and I'm all for Paul. Not that Paul had that much to do, but Simon realizes that he has a better chance of negotiating with Paul if he takes a more innocent hostage. Chelsea and Adam and the whole rest of the hotel are not worth as much to him as, say for instance, a scared little boy, Connor. I know it's a really weird thing to say, but the actor who played Simon seemed almost to be having a little bit of fun with being this devious of a villain. I mean, it gave me so much anxiety as Chelsea and Adam looked on at their only son being pushed and pulled around by this creep guy I also kind of liked how good this guy was at being bad. Simon was a good villain. He had all of the right deliveries. He kept my attention. I thought he was really great. I'm sad to see him go. I thought when I saw the casting posting for him that he was going to be a full cast member, but I guess not. I presumably he was only meant to be brought on to be a 2-week-long November Sweeps villain and then swept away. Well, Adam tries to negotiate with Simon. Adam tries to get Simon to take him and not Connor. Take me and not my son. But it didn't work. Simon was not buying all of the world that Adam was selling. Simon realized that his best bet is just to take this poor child, like order a plane as part of his demands from Paul, and he's just gonna drag Connor onto a plane and off into who knows where. He's just gonna abduct this kid in order to help himself get away. And I just felt awful for Chelsea and Adam. I mean, watching this all happen right before their very eyes, I couldn't help but put myself into their shoes, and I don't think I could have been as composed as they were. I was expecting Adam to really come in and be the one to save the day and save his son from Simon. And when that didn't happen, after Adam failed in his negotiation with Simon, I was half expecting Connor to be the one then to step in and save the day, like to bust out that pocket knife that Victor had given him, plunge that bad boy into Simon's heart, and take care of the guy once and for all. Like, take that, Mom and Dad. I mean, I'm the real force to be reckoned with in this family. Mom couldn't resolve this situation. Dad couldn't resolve this situation. So it's Connor for the win. I thought that knife was going to come into play. Would have been great to see Connor stab Simon and save the day. That would have really messed him up, though. Poor little Connor was stiff and sometimes unresponsive when it was on the scene. And even in the aftermath, now he's all wiggly and he's got high anxiety. There is no amount of blankie that is going to fix this. Connor is going to need some real help. Hey! By any chance, are there any recent online master's program graduates around here who might be willing to help a young boy out? Shortly after Chance punched Kane in the face, Kane brings Chance up to speed on everything that he knows about Catherine's will, which Jill already should have done. Jill already should have told all of this information to Chance. Chance said that he talked to Jill, but he said that Jill wasn't feeling very chatty, which is total BS and annoying to me, because Jill has been trying to contact Chance for weeks now, trying to clear her grandson's name, wanting to believe that he's not involved in something shady. There is absolutely no way that when Jill finally got a phone call from Chance that she would be evasive with him. There is no way that she would refuse to fill him in on what's going on, so he would have to go to Kane for the information. Jill got that weird text message from Chance a couple of months ago. She would be up on him. She would be asking him anything and everything that he knows about this will business. And Chance just glossed that over. Oh, yeah, I was on the phone with Jill. Don't use Jill as part of the plot and then gloss it over. That ticked me off. Boo. I still don't think they were intending to cast Chance. I really don't. I feel like this is thrown together at the end. But Chance reveals that he's been deep undercover. And the reason is he's apparently had to go completely undercover in order to be part of this sting operation that's meant to catch Simon. So he's been undercover working on this whole ring to try to catch Simon. What a coincidence. And then Simon ends up in Genoa City. But when Chance's partner, Agent Smith, completely flubs the year-long operation, just blows it right at the end, Chance has no choice but to find a different partner. Phyllis. Everything went down. Other agent screws the whole operation up. Simon holds the building hostage. Chance has no other choice but to rely on Phyllis to help him out. And there was all kinds of sassiness between those two. I mean, first up, Chance asks to see Phyllis's security cams. Hey, baby, can I see your security cams? Ooh, on a first date? It was hot up in there between Chance and Phyllis, let me tell you. All kinds of chemistry for their first date. I could hardly contain myself. Phyllis and Chance, while all of this is going down, they are holed up in Amanda's hotel room. Or no, they were holed up in Phyllis's hotel room. They took over Phyllis's hotel room as their command post in the same way that Paul took over Crimson Lights. Only Chance was moving at turtle speed. There's so much action going on in this hotel. He could have been making phone calls to anyone else in the FBI, anyone else in the police force, and yet he was just slowly looking at security cam footage with Phyllis. Oh. And Chance decides that he's going to have to be the one to save the day. Chance hoists himself up into the hotel HVAC system. Chance is like moving around in the ceiling of the hotel in their air ducts, like crawling around army style with a flashlight in his mouth. Hot. And Chance has no choice but to work in tandem with girlfriend number one, Phyllis. He's got her on the phone, but also working with girlfriend number two, Abby, via text message because she's down in the lobby where Simon is. So Abby is also working a little bit in tandem with Phyllis, and Abby, at the precise right moment, screams hysterically to create a distraction for Simon, while Phyllis gives Chance Simon's precise location in the hotel. Chance drops down from the ceiling, lands on top of everybody, knocks Simon out with one punch. I mean, this whole hostage situation, and all Chance had to do was one punch. Bada bing, bada boom. Simon is out. Chance gets up, runs his fingers through his hair, and makes a phone call to the GCPD to come storming in and clean up the mess. How about that? Can you believe that? One punch and he was done. Take him away, boys. He is good, that Chancellor, isn't he? Paul welcomes him back to town with a hero's welcome. Simon just gets hauled out like the villain that he is. This all worked out so well. It was all contained in one crazy, sweepy episode. Dang! I could not keep my eyes off of Chance's hair this whole time. There is something about his hair. I bet he takes pride in his hair. He seems to have pretty good hair. Because he literally, this is how it went. He goes, punch to Simon, and the second that fist came out of the punch, it came back and into his hair. Like it was punch and then sweeping back the hair. Like punch, oh, is my hair okay? Oh, and my favorite part about the whole Chance dropping from the ceiling saving the day thing was the similar, but also not similar haircut that the stunt double had. Like, the stunt double had a bowl cut. He was blonde, but he had a bowl cut. And I wouldn't have noticed it if Y&R hadn't shown the scene like 3 separate times, but no, I can't help it. Someone said, close enough. Bear with me. I am not at all sure at this point what Adam and Chance's connection is, and I, at this point, almost dare not speculate. I haven't been right on any of my predictions around this. I don't know. I feel really confused about how Adam and Chance know each other, but I don't know. Something tells me that whatever their connection is, it's not nefarious. Maybe it was meant to seem nefarious at the time, months and months ago, when Y&R brought this up, before they decided to actually cast Chance. But now, I mean, Y&R's going out of their way to establish that Chance is a longtime good guy. And Adam is so obviously and fully on the reform train. So I just almost wonder, I don't know. All right, fine. Fine. You have forced me to make a prediction. If I must. If I had to guess, I would say that Adam helped Chance with a mission of some sort in the past, and it's going to turn out that they were like good guys together. Like maybe Adam was the one who alerted Chance in the first place to Simon and his dirty dealings, not of course realizing that it would end up linking to Chelsea in any way. I mean, it could explain the year-long mission. Whatever was going on between Chance and Adam in Vegas was probably a year ago, and Chance has told us he's coming to the end of this year-long mission. I don't know. And I don't know if there's more to the Simon story or not. Phyllis seems to think that whatever Chance and Adam were doing in Vegas has to do with Chelsea. I don't get that connection either. But there's something going on there. As soon as Chance got a spare minute from fighting crime, flirting with girls, getting his hair fixed, he made sure to stop by Adam's penthouse. Adam didn't call him over. One of Chance's first stops in town was to just go see Adam and not tell us anything. And clearly the two guys know each other. They were friendly. It wasn't hostile in any way. But Chance makes a comment to Adam about how they keep walking into messes together. I don't know. I was hoping we'd get something, even a little morsel, especially when Phyllis showed up. She followed. She knew Chance had gone to see Adam, and she has a real special and intimate and frankly sort of unexplained reason for wanting to get up into the middle of Adam and Chance's business. I mean, she just seems to take it, anything that Adam is doing, she takes it very personally. And she's taken it upon herself to get to the bottom of whatever's going on between them. And she was very, almost like sexily questioning them. Like, ooh, she wants to sleep with them both now. See, it's getting difficult for her to choose. I mean, she really clearly has wanted to sleep with Adam for weeks now, but now Chance is in the room. It's just a smorgasbord of who she's gonna sleep with. It was the most like hostily, slinky, sexy interrogation that I think I've ever seen. I was hoping that she'd get something out of them, but they gave her absolutely no information. Adam again told her to just go away. Yeah, we worked on a couple of projects together, Phyllis, but I am not you, you are not me, we are not friends. And then after she leaves, Chance warns Adam to keep an eye on her because she's investigating them. Like, you know, Adam says, I'll handle Phyllis, and Chance says, well, you better. What are they hiding? Are they both at this point protecting Chelsea? I mean, if Chance is FBI, and Chance has been tracking Simon for a year now, wouldn't Chance already know Simon's connection to Calvin? And then wouldn't Chance already know that Chelsea was involved with that dirty money? And wouldn't Chance already know that Chelsea had attempted to have the money laundered? I mean, everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows that Chelsea was connected to Simon. They all know that Simon was at the hotel because of Chelsea, and yet no one is questioning her. And Chance didn't even mention it to Adam. I mean, Phyllis is continuing to dig around. Maybe Phyllis is going to be the one to bring all of that to light. Maybe Chance and Adam were working to cover it up for Chelsea, and Phyllis is going to figure it out. Phyllis did have that scene at the end of Friday's show with Kevin, and she was asking him about it. She did indeed see him and Chloe pretending to be FBI agents on the security cams. And Kevin was pretending like it was a whole lot of nothing. But Phyllis said, yeah, I got audio too, dude. I heard the whole thing too. So what's up? I've got my eye on you. Kevin doesn't give her anything. But then we also have Abby hanging around in the background, real interested in the security system that Phyllis has installed all of a sudden. Phyllis is suspicious of Chelsea. Abby is suspicious of Phyllis. And nobody's paying any attention to Chelsea, who is the real problem here. I mean, Abby, for instance, has been spending most of her resources since this incident being mad at Phyllis and trying to find a way to bust Phyllis. But why are you mad at Phyllis instead of being mad at the person who led the bad guy right to your doorstep? It's Chelsea. This is Chelsea's fault. Why are all of the guys protecting Chelsea? Kevin, Nick, Adam, possibly Chance. Chelsea messed up big time. Nobody held her down and forced her to take Calvin's dirty money, and certainly nobody told her to launder it. She thought she could handle playing with the big boys, and maybe she used to be able to, but Chelsea should have known that when you play shady games like this, you're gonna end up engaged with shady people like Simon. And this time it was her own son, Connor, who got caught up in the crosshairs. And I can guarantee you that if the roles had been reversed and Adam found himself caught up in a scheme like this that put Connor into danger, Chelsea would have turned her back on Adam immediately. She would have yanked that kid out of his life. He never would have seen Connor again. But that's not what Adam's reaction to Chelsea is. Adam should be furious with Chelsea. He should be hating her right now. But he is strangely being so totally supportive and understanding. He even told her that he blames himself for this, for making her feel like she couldn't trust him enough to ask for help, to tell him the truth. So either this is a total wow, new Adam, good guy, Saint Adam, in fact, or he is hiding something and he knew something more about Simon and didn't say anything to Chelsea about it. I don't know which it is, because there are other signs that Y&R is trying to change Adam's character, that they got the note from months and months ago that he's too bad. It was too much. They were having him do too much shady stuff, and he was off the mark, even for a villain character. And now they're just changing it. I mean, honestly, the biggest shocker of the entire week, the real November sweeps twist, was when Adam encouraged Chelsea to go to Nick and tell him the truth. I mean, during the Simon standoff thing, Nick had been very concerned that Chelsea missed another one of his meetings. This time it was a debate, which I was kind of hoping we'd see. But he's the whole time wondering, when's Chelsea going to get here? When's Chelsea going to get here? And then when Paul and Ray took over Crimson Lights, Nick learned that Chelsea was being held hostage and he was worried sick about her. I mean, Nick and Jack stormed right through the Grand Phoenix front doors, immediately behind the police. It was a wave of police followed by Jack and Nick rushing in to see what had happened, as if that would ever happen in reality. But it was very soapy. But anyway, after the standoff was over, Nick tried to check in with Chelsea, make sure she was okay, asked her lightly, you know, what happened here? Why did this guy hold you hostage? Were you targeted? He was trying to get some information out of her, and she evaded him immediately. She just scooted away. She said, sorry, I gotta talk to you later. I gotta be with Connor right now. And then she and Adam sat there on the couch cradling their baby boy while Nick looked on, probably feeling like an outsider and probably watching these people that he cares about slip further and further away little by little. It's crazy to me that Adam is the one who suggested to Chelsea that she just be completely honest with Nick. I mean, reform the Adam character, yes, but can you do it gradually, maybe? I don't know. That was so stark and weird. But I don't know, Chelsea took Adam's advice and she went to Nick and she told him the truth, and I was also shocked by Nick's reaction. I expected Nick to have the opposite reaction that Adam did. I expected Nick to feel betrayed by Chelsea. I expected him to throw her out of his house because, I mean, he is more of a black and white guy. It's black or white. It's truth or lies. It's politics, you know? I mean, whereas Adam sees the world in those shades of gray, and he embraces those shades of gray. And in the past, so did Chelsea. So I just assumed that Nick was going to reject her and that Chelsea was going to be running back into Adam's arms immediately. Oh, it'll happen. It just didn't happen this week. For now, Nick has totally embraced her. He supports her 100%, despite what it has done to his, I guess, short-lived political campaign. The whole media frenzy around Chelsea is so intense that Nick has decided to just drop out of the race. I'm so sad for him. This is all Chelsea's fault, and no one is questioning her. No one is coming for her. Even the police aren't questioning her. It's a real head scratcher. She offered to run out to the news van that's parked outside of Nick's estate and just confess everything, probably get herself thrown in prison. So right there tells me that Nick knows that she did something, that he knows that what she did was illegal. And if she were to confess, she would get thrown in jail. So Nick sees it as a choice between Chelsea going to jail or him just giving up the race. And for now, Nick decides to choose Chelsea and just take the bullet for her. He says he's quitting his campaign. Despite the fact that Nikki and Jack are sitting at the ranch coming up with their best possible plans to keep Nick in the race, to come up with a way to spin this media nightmare in Nick's favor. He hasn't even got elected and it's a nightmare. And nobody had to pull it out. This is just life as a Newman. Life as someone in Genoa City. I feel so disappointed if Nick's campaign is over because it was so fast. What was this, 2 weeks and Chelsea blew it? I was really into it. I thought it was wonderful to see Nikki and also especially Jack giving Nick all of this advice and trying to coach him toward success. And because of Chelsea, that is all gone now. The only person who was happy about Nick's decision to drop out was Victor. When Nick called Nikki and Jack to tell them that he was dropping out, Victor was happy about it. He did this thing with his fists where as soon as he realized what Nick was saying, he goes, yes, with his fists. Almost like that moment where you realize that you've won. He should have been making happy yes fists when Nick took office. But no, it was happy yes fists that Nick was giving up, which is weird because I kind of thought that Victor and Nick had come to an understanding about it. Earlier in the week, Nick was making a visit specifically to Victor to tell him that he was running for office, and Victor's reaction was disapproving, but it was mild. All he really said was, I'd hoped you'd aimed higher. I'd hoped you'd aim higher than political office. I mean, okay, well that's, it's mild. Victor even told Nick, he said, that he's supportive. He's not going to stand in his way. I mean, he doesn't really like it, but he's not going to stand in his way. And Victor, he seemed okay. And Nick said, you know what? I don't need your support for this, but I appreciate that you have decided not to fund any of my opponents. Thank you very much. It's too bad, really, because I bet the chicken lady really could have used those Newman campaign contributions toward her campaign to get more chickens in Genoa City. Or maybe Victor's campaign contribution to Nick's opponents. It could have gone to the local laundromat owner to get him elected. Who knows? Maybe he'd open a second laundromat in Genoa City. See, this is one thing that bothers me a little bit about the continuity here. Are we supposed to believe that Genoa City is ground zero for some of the world's biggest businesses and some of the world's biggest billionaires? Or is Genoa City just America's backyard chicken coop? Immediately when the hotel went on lockdown, Amanda started to panic. Who could blame her? I mean, seriously. Apparently, Abby was able to remotely lock down all of the elevators and all of the stairwells. That's a massive fire hazard. I would be panicking too. If I was in a high-rise hotel and I couldn't access the stairwell, I mean, can that even be done? Can stairwells be locked? How could a hotel be designed to where there's not, just you can't get to the stairwell to access in cases of a fire? I don't know. I didn't like it. It made me feel panicky. So I was with her. But I'm sure there was a little something more to her reaction. Kane immediately noticed how cagey she was. He picked up on it right away. And I really loved that. I loved Kane and Amanda's scenes. He had this total sweetness when it came to talking to her about it. I was impressed that he had an awareness of it at all. And the whole dynamic between them made me think that Kane and Amanda would have made a great pairing. I mean, add it to the list of coulda, woulda, shouldas. But I think Kane and Amanda would have been great. Can you imagine how much in the future that would have ticked off both Devon and Lily in one fell swoop? Devon watching Kane be with a woman who looked exactly like Hillary. And then Lily coming back to find out that Kane is with the woman who looked like Hillary. That would have been so good. But no, I still liked the interaction. Kane was trying to draw something out of Amanda. I mean, there's obviously a story there. He was, saying, what is it that happened to you that made you react like this? You seem like you've been held before. You seem like you've been trapped before and you're traumatized by it. But Amanda refused to answer any questions about it. But I did like that Kane also brought back up the fact that she doesn't even have any kind of social media presence. It's clear that she has been trapped before, but also she don't want to be seen. There's something like she doesn't want anyone to know her business. She's private, but maybe a little too private, because Kane also said something about how the fact that there was news vans out front, so even when the hotel was off of lockdown, she didn't want to go outside and be seen. So Kane definitely was alluding to the fact that maybe Amanda could be running from something or someone. When Nate checked in with her the next day, it was more of the same alluding. She didn't want to talk about it. I mean, something clearly happened to Amanda where she was held captive and she was emotionally traumatized by it, but she doesn't want to open up about it to anyone, even the people she seems closest with to in Genoa City. I just keep thinking that this is somehow going to lead to us finding out that Amanda is really Hillary, which would be great because I'm having a hard time remembering to call her Amanda and not Hillary. It would be more convenient for me. I don't know, I just keep thinking that maybe somehow Hillary was being held captive and she was brainwashed and used to enact this plan to fleece Devon of his money. I don't know. I mean, she even admitted this week herself that she was obviously used. She told Chance that she was going to pass along any of the emails that she had. I mean, he's FBI. Shouldn't he have that? Chance is acting like this is the first time he's heard about any of this will stuff. He's been so busy, I guess, trailing Simon that he hasn't paid any attention to the crime that's happening in his name. Kane had to be the one to fill Chance in on the fact that Jill was suspicious of it being Colin. Maybe it is Colin. I don't know. I was just starting to doubt that Colin had anything to do with this at all because it seems so obvious. Everyone's mentioned it all over the place. And then I saw the casting news that Tristan Rogers is returning to Y&R for 2 episodes sometime around Thanksgiving. Because of the preemptions, the actual dates may be different, but it seems like it's toward the end of the month we're going to see Tristan Rogers coming back as Colin. I wonder if it's going to be tied in at all with Kane's exit. I'm not sure, but I'm really glad they're bringing him back. I loved Tristan Rogers. I think he was great. I wish he was on full time with Kane. But I know he's on General Hospital full time, but I think it's still going to be a real treat to see him. Hopefully we're going to see him with Jill. Hopefully we're going to see Jill dragging Colin back to Genoa City by his ear to tell us the story of what the heck is going on with this will. I don't know anymore. I mean, the thing that I feel really fuzzy about in terms of this story, and maybe you feel this way too, or maybe I'm just missing it, are the will pages real? Which one is the real will pages? Because last week I assumed that because Chance wasn't involved in any of this, then that meant that the entire new will was fake. But then when Amanda was talking to Chance, she was bringing up again that they were authenticated, and she seemed to believe that they're real. Kane also seems to believe that the new pages are real. So which is it? I don't see how the new will can be real. If these new will pages that name Kane as the beneficiary, if those are real, then why all of the subterfuge? The truth does not need this much drama. The truth would not need to knock Kane over the head in Vegas. If the new pages of the will are real, then why not just present them to Devon and to the attorneys legitimately? It has to be a lie, right? I don't know. Though. I don't know. I find this story to be convoluted and difficult to follow, frankly. All I care about is how this is going to affect Devon and Kane. In the end, I wonder who is going to end up with the money and how it is going to tie into Kane's exit. Is he going to end up leaving Genoa City as a billionaire? Or is he going to end up leaving Genoa City with his tail between his legs? I still think that Billy is poised to play some kind of role in Kane's exit, given how hostile he was last week about the idea that Kane would have inherited that money. I mean, he was really angry about it. But then again, Billy has been angry and hostile about absolutely everything lately. Except for Victoria. When it comes to Victoria, Billy is just ravenous. He just wants her. Thank goodness that Victoria had that automatic door closey button installed on the desk in her office so that if Billy gives her the ravenous eyes, she can just push the button and that door gets closed and locked. Billy gets that look in his eye and Victoria just has to push the button. She don't even have to get up. if there is any other evidence that these two were made for each other, when Billy first took over his job as CEO of Jabot, lone CEO of Jabot, and he was with Phyllis at the time, one of the very first things that he did was had those automatic blinds installed in the Abbott CEO office so that he could close the blinds with the touch of a button. And now Victoria did almost the same thing. Great minds think alike. Yeah, but I mean, again, any other topic besides Victoria and having sex with Victoria or making out with Victoria seems to get Billy's blood boiling lately. In fact, Jack walked in on a big budget argument between Billy and Kyle this week, and they were getting heated. Jack walked in the room, chastised them both, told them to be adults and find a way to work it out. But Billy's idea of working it out was just to continue to try to bend Kyle to his will, which he ultimately did. Billy just kind of brute forced his way through. I think Kyle should be a little more assertive. It's too bad that Summer can't get up in there and mediate between those two. She's the only other real employee that we're seeing around the office. But Summer is smartly staying as neutral as she can on as many topics as she can, including the Theo versus Kyle rivalry. I really expected her to jump in and take a side, but she instead jumped into bed with Theo. She took him aside. Yes. All the while, at the same time, telling Kyle that it's okay if he's suspicious of Theo. Maybe he has a right to remain cautious. See, I don't know. Shouldn't Summer, of all people, know that Theo could be up to something? She's riding that line. But Summer and Theo had let's stick it to Kyle sex more than once leading up to Kyle and Lola's wedding. I mean, both Summer and Theo were kind of getting off on the idea of causing Kyle some chaos. But I guess they have both turned a new leaf on the surface anyway. Summer just wants to do a good job for Jabot. She just wants to help sell their products, bring them as much good press as she can, help develop as many good items as she can, including that new Korean skincare product that Kyle decided to demo on himself in her absence. I gotta tell you, one of my absolute favorite freaking moments of the week. It was so good. Summer is holding Kyle's face in her hands, looking and making jokes about how much cleaner his pores are. And Lola walks in, sees what she's doing, and Summer drops Kyle's face out of her hands and says, "Oh, Lola, I was just admiring your husband's skin." Are you kidding me? Oh, I was just admiring your husband's skin. I don't know who wrote that line, but bravo. What a good excuse. On the inside, I think Lola must have been thinking, you better stay away from my husband's skin. You stay away from all his skin. Every single last bit of it. Every last skin cell. And after Summer left the room, Lola did seem to have some extra kisses and extra loving ups for Kyle. Reminding him of exactly who it is that should be touching all his skins. I couldn't help but feel she was putting it on a little extra after seeing that moment. And we did see Lola finally having a nice little chat with Abby this week, which I was happy about because I do want to get some of Lola's inner dialogue here, and I hope she continues to develop that friendship with Abby. I like that friendship, by the way. But I also like the fact that, you know, I mean, Lola was there not only to check on Abby, make sure she was okay after the Grand Phoenix hostage sitch, but Lola also indicated a little bit to Abby that she still has some qualms over Summer's working relationship with Kyle, which I'm sure Abby will find a way to get up in momentarily. I'm sure Abby will start pressuring Summer to stay away from Kyle any minute now. But it was the first time in a while that we saw that little glimmer of questioning in Lola's eye. I mean, she basically said, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Kyle has Summer at work. Right? Aren't I? Ashley was back in town this week, and she made time to meet with her brand new half-nephew. You know, offer him some tea. I tell you, when Ashley opened up the door to Theo, wearing her short leopard print dress, she looked more like a cougar. I thought, you know what, if this guy wasn't her half-nephew or whatever, she might decide to teach him a lesson or two, Ravi style. Oh. But after talking to Theo about his influencer business, all she really wanted to do was make him a job offer in Paris. Oh, Theo's eyes lit up. I could go to Paris. I could make something of myself. Oh, it was adorable. And I could completely see why she wanted to hire him. I loved Theo's pitch about this new world of social media marketing. And yes, I find the concept of influencers and that whole thing annoying, but you know, it's me. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm, you know, from a little bit of a different place and time, as are possibly you. But you know, the reality is these are the buzzwords. These are the marketing methods that speak to this younger generation. So in that way, I found it very fresh that that voice is represented on the show, and I liked Theo's passion. You know, he's becoming a really great new character. I think he is going to make a great asset to the Jabot marketing team when Jack offers him twice as much to stay in Genoa City. And speaking of Theo, last week he was having a conversation with Lola about his life's work and how he's had to take all of his hard knocks, as opposed to Kyle's life's work, where certain things are just handed to him. And in having this conversation with Lola, he said, nothing feels better than success, and nothing feels worse than failure. And that was our quote from last week. Congratulations to all of you guys who guessed that that was Theo. It was a nice little moment. And Henry, Sandra, Jamie, Brenda 08, Marion, Jillian, Ambreen, and Diana all guessed it right. Well, here's a fun little quote that just rang true to me a little bit. You miss a week, you miss a lot around here. Who said it? You miss a week, you miss a lot around here. Let me tell you, I was feeling like I missed something on those days that were preempted. I mean, it was only a day and a half, but boy, I felt like I missed a day. I miss a lot around here. If you think you know who said the quote, you can go to yrchat.com and leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Well, also on the topic of Theo, which I find to be a pretty good topic and probably, honestly, one of the most successful stories that I think is going on the show right now. Superplex commented on last week's Y&R Chat where I was discussing Theo as a Mergeron heir being extended the Abbott welcome mat. And Superplex says, how can Theo be a Mergeron when Dina only became a Mergeron through marriage? Should he not be considered a Brooks? Well, yes. I cringe a little bit realizing that I think I kind of blipped over that. It seems though, after you said that, I was watching Y&R through the week, and it almost seems like Y&R is maybe blipping over that a little bit. Summer had made a comment to Theo about, oh, should I call you Mergeron or should I call you Abbott? And it is a little bit of a shame. It doesn't feel like Theo's connection to his grandfather is being showcased as strongly as his connection to his grandmother. But he's both, right? He would be a Brooks and a Mergeron, but yes, primarily, typically, that's sort of the bloodline. He is a Brooks. He is actually Y&R. He is in the line of Y&R royalty from one of the founding families of the show. And I think it's interesting that maybe I missed that or glossed over that, or it just didn't click in with me. I mean, I know it logically, but I think it hasn't clicked in with me emotionally because I don't think Y&R is playing it that way very well. And also, I have to say, I'm a new viewer. I've only been watching for 25 years. I did not see and experience the Brooks family firsthand. And I think in some ways that does make it difficult for me to emotionally connect with them. The only way I know Stuart and Leslie and Lori is, via my Y&R books and, the Y&R history that's been presented on the show. But it's very much not in my front burner mind, I think, because I never saw it firsthand. You know what I mean? If you started watching the show after 93, when I started watching it, and maybe you never knew Hope. And so when I go on and on and on about Hope, maybe it's hard to connect in with it emotionally because it's just a name. I've seen Stuart's photos, and I actually think I would have liked him very much. I've seen his photos. I kind of like the way the actor looks. I love a tweed jacket, and it seems he was he was probably given tweed jacket and elbow patches maybe. I love a 70s guy. I don't know what it is, but I love 70s TV. I love 70s TV stars. So I think I would have liked Stuart Brooks very much. The only Brooks that I have any visual connection with at all would be Lori. She did come back onto the show briefly in the 90s. She never had, it was never a long-term stint. I don't know, she maybe came back for a year. I'm just pulling that out of nowhere. And I think I probably would have, I have absolutely no, emotional connection to Leslie at all. I've never seen her. I don't remember her really coming back outside of maybe getting trotted out for the Walnut Grove anniversary thingy. But yeah, I remember Lori specifically. I think she's probably the Brooks sister who I might have liked a little more. She seemed a little more fun, but I don't know Leslie. And yeah, I think that the fact that Y&R is bringing up so much Theo's connection to the Bergeron and the Abbotts. It's left a little bit of a blind spot for me that his real connection is to the Brooks family. But you gotta admit, I don't think Y&R's really playing that up either. It seems he's really being billed as the next in line of Dina. And Dina is a Bergeron. Or what's Dina's maiden name? What's Dina's family story? I mean, we are digging back into the past of these characters, and I don't know, what was Dina's maiden name? What were her parents like? I don't know that we know that. I mean, there's so many ways Y&R could be taking it. But I think, they got to work with what they've got to work with. The actor who played Stuart Brooks, I believe, has long passed away, and it just we don't get very much Lori and Leslie, so I guess they're just trying to play it where they've got it. Last week, we also speculated a little bit about how Theo might possibly, in a twist, become a Bergeron financial heir, and that's an idea that I floated out there mostly as a joke. Like, what are we going to find out that Dina has her long lost son included in her will? And Leslie, this is not Leslie Brooks. Leslie, Y&R Chat, Leslie says, Theo can easily be in Dina's will. I would not be surprised if she kept tabs on her son, knew he died, and knew about Theo, so included him in her will. She also could have just left a sum or a trust to Eric and his descendants. The only problem with this would be that she may not have wanted her children to know, but perhaps she decided to reveal it when she was gone and included them without revealing the true connection. You're so right, Leslie. It is totally possible, and the way you've presented it here is very logical. That if she knew the name of Eric Vanderway, then surely she would, have had the potential of wanting to provide for him. It was funny a little bit too when Theo arrived at the Abbott mansion and Ashley welcomed him and said, yeah, we have a little bit of something in common too. I lived my entire life thinking that John Abbott was my father. Turns out he wasn't. And Theo made a comment, something to the effect of, wow, Dina seems like she is something else. And really, the subtext of the whole thing was, Dina was a little loose. Dina liked to sleep around. Oh, and I gotta tell you, I kind of have a similar dynamic. My grandmother, as life has gone on, we realized that a couple of the siblings were not the father that we thought. My grandmother has kids by like 4 different guys. And the funny thing is, I don't think I've ever talked about it, but there was a point about maybe 10 years ago where my mom found out through happenstance that my dad had another brother. He knew about it, never told us. So we got I got some weird other uncle out there that I didn't know about till 10 years ago. So it happens. It certainly happens. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things back in the day. I mean, shoot, back in the day, you have sex, you get pregnant. I mean, there's not, I think they weren't maybe as, they didn't have as many, for instance, birth control options as they do now. So, I mean, Dina liked to have, I mean, it's probably not even that much more sex than the typical woman would have today. It's just we have options for controlling the children who are born out of the sex. But yeah, funny. It is certainly possible, though, Leslie, that we could see Theo as an inheritor. The thing about that, though, that's a little sad is that it would mean the end of Dina, which might very well be in Y&R's plans. I think they surely must know that they can't continue to trot Dina out in this state for too much longer. So that might be something that we could count on as a 2020 prediction, Dina's death. And I mean, it just so happens that she has a long lost relative at around that time. I think you're right. I think there absolutely could have been some provision made for Theo in her will. Well, I tell you what, we had a really good poll question last week where I asked you guys if you think that Lola is getting too involved in Kyle's relationship with Theo. Here are the results. 69% of you feel that Lola needs to back off, not have this involvement with Kyle and Theo. I voted in the minority with 31% saying no, she just cares about both Kyle and Theo and is just trying to help. Let's read some of your comments. Sherrod voted yes, that Lola's getting too involved because, Sherrod says, I have yet to understand her way of thinking. This is the man that tried at every turn to sabotage your relationship with Kyle and put doubt in your mind about the man that you love and planned to marry. I think that's legitimate, that Lola's opinion of Theo changed so completely and so quickly, and it really mostly just, I think, came as a result of her talking to him. I don't think Theo did or didn't do anything, but he's just slowly been able to convince her, which he said himself is part of his gift as a person. He's just able to sell things. He's just able to convince people, and he's done it with Lola, and arguably she doesn't realize that that he's done that. Maybe she is being manipulated and doesn't realize it. But Anna says, I would not let my husband dictate to me who I can or cannot be friends with. I love my husband very much, and although I trust him completely, he would have to give me a much better reason than Kyle has given Lola to make me change my mind and or my judgment about Theo. Yeah, I know. And that's the crux of it too. Kyle has information that he hasn't given to Lola. Shakona says, though, if your husband warned you to stay away from someone, he's warning you for a reason. Even if you don't have all the details, you trust your husband. Quite frankly, I think she's being disrespectful toward Kyle. All of the time she's spending with Theo is inappropriate. Maybe I have a suspicious mind, but I would almost think that if my husband was warning me so hard to stay away from someone, but not really telling me why, I would think he's trying to hide something. But then again, I mean, as far as Lola knows, the truth speaks for itself. Theo did try to cause Kyle problems. I mean, she knows he's a troublemaker. But it's interesting that you find her relationship with him at all just to be inappropriate. Yeah, she probably should have a talk with Theo and tell him maybe to stop hanging around so hard at society. Brenda08 votes no, Lola does not need to stay out of this, saying Lola can have her own opinion about people, and I like how she's defending herself. If Kyle wants Lola to stop being so friendly with Theo and stop defending him, then he needs to tell her the whole story about Theo in New York. But Kyle doesn't want to do that because that puts him in the same boat as Theo and doesn't put him in a good light. Right now, Lola just sees someone who wants to get to know his new family better and is working hard for his job. Yeah, I think you're right that is all Lola is seeing. She just doesn't know the full picture, but I agree with you. Kyle can't really give her the full picture without painting himself in the same light as Theo. Marianne V says, Lola is headed for heartbreak, getting closer to Theo. Or maybe Kyle isn't the one for her, but Theo is. Gosh, I can't believe if Theo and Lola hook up, oh boy. That would be something else. They seem so different. But then again, so did Kyle at the beginning. I really like this triangle. I really like this story. I think Y&R has just done a good job. I think this was a good cast. I think this is a good challenge for Kyle and Lola. It doesn't feel sexual to me right now. I don't see Lola falling in love with Theo at all right now. I mean, I'm not getting any signs that she has feelings for Theo beyond just, he's a family member. And I'm not saying that, anyone else here has suggested that. But, yeah, I don't know that right now at this point in the story we're seeing anything potentially romantic between Lola and Theo, but I absolutely think it's possible into the future. I mean, if things with Kyle continue to be tense, and if Kyle continues to gain a closeness with Summer that makes Lola uncomfortable, I mean, it's tough. I think Kyle's relationship with Summer makes Lola uncomfortable, and Lola's relationship with Theo makes Kyle uncomfortable. But it's a good challenge. I like this as a story. And how about this for a story? Sandra says, this is strictly for fun. But what if Mia and Arturo didn't work out and Mia came back to town and got with Theo? Lola's head would pop off. Oh, I wish. I would love to see Mia back. Oh, yeah, she hooked up with Theo. I don't know how Lola would feel about that. I wonder if Lola has much of an opinion on Theo's dating life. I wonder if Lola will offer any advice to Theo on his relationship with Summer. That would be telling. Oh, well, let's switch into something else for a while. Oh, Nick's campaign. Daisy says, it's disappointing that Nick stopped his campaign. An interesting storyline gone. But when Chelsea runs back into Adam's arms, I hope Nick jumps back in. I think there's a lot that could happen with Nick in office. Maybe next week, Victor will convince Nick to get back in the race. Not because Victor loves the idea, but because his son found something he's passionate about. And Victor wants Nick to pursue his new dream. Oh, wouldn't that be great? I mean, we haven't seen Nick announce to the press yet that he's quitting. So I think there's every possibility that he might still stick with it. And wouldn't that be a wonderful growth opportunity for Victor? It's clear that I don't know. I mean, as Nikki and Jack were having that scene trying to figure out how they were going to spin it, it's clear that Victor was either worried about Nick genuinely, or he was just tired of hearing about this whole political thing because he doesn't like it. But I guess I took it as some genuine interest with Nick, especially based on, or some genuine love and concern for Nick, especially based on the conversation they had prior that was private. But yeah, I think wouldn't that be really interesting if it was Victor who was the one to come in and tell Nick to stick with it if that's what he really wants. That's what a father should do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Nick running for office. There are way worse things that people could do. It's not like Nick's starting some illegal operation or something that's going to bring shame upon the family any more than Victor has. There's nothing wrong with him deciding to run for city council. It is, in fact, a noble pursuit. So it would be wonderful to actually see Victor being a dad and actually see him encouraging his son for once to follow his dreams. I mean, wouldn't that be a nice full circle moment for Victor and show his evolution as a character and as a parent? I mean, Victor wants to talk all day long about family. Well, now it's time to pony up. Now it's time to show us what you're really made of when it comes to family and what you've really learned throughout the process of your life. I mean, it's not all pocket knives and CEO chairs, Victor. T. Nicole says, I thought the knife that Victor gave Connor was going to come into play in the hostage situation. I wonder if it will later play a role or if it was just supposed to be a nice moment between Victor and Connor. I know, I'm leaning toward thinking that it's just was supposed to be a nice moment and a memory of hope. But yeah, I hope, because, well, now that the hostage thing is over, I hope it doesn't come into play, because any other uses for that knife would be not good. Well, Leslie says, I don't think that Chelsea told Nick the whole truth. I think she left out the part that she was having the money laundered. Okay, well, is that true? Because, I mean, I don't even think Y&R showed us the full scene of Chelsea telling Nick. Didn't the scene just start with Nick going, wow, thank you for telling me the truth? I mean, did we really see Chelsea just spilling the whole thing? Maybe you're right. Maybe Chelsea told, I mean, she must have told him that she did something illegal. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stopped her from going to confess to the news crews. He seemed to understand that if she were to confess, there would be some legal implications for her. But I think you're right that we didn't really see. Ellen says, well, doesn't Phyllis know everything about Chelsea anyway via the spy cameras? Chelsea's conversation with Simon and Kevin and Chloe's FBI impersonation. I'm sure Phyllis will be happy to reveal the rest of that story. Yeah, if Chelsea did not fully tell Nick, then you better believe Phyllis will be happy to do it. Where did the rivalry with Abby and Phyllis come from over Nick? I mean, I understand Abby not trusting Phyllis when it comes to the hotel and the security cams. All of that makes sense. But why is Abby so paranoid about Phyllis's relationship with Nick all of a sudden? I mean, I think you're hitting on it. It's almost like yeah, Phyllis is about to blow up Chelsea and Nick's relationship. Like, Phyllis is about to find out something more about Chelsea and happily tell it to Nick. And maybe Abby's not gonna like it. Abby seems to prefer Chelsea. I mean, Abby, the first thing she did was get all in a huff over Phyllis. It wasn't even until maybe the end of Friday where she was actually keying in to Chelsea and the fact that she was ticked off at her. This is, again, it's Chelsea's fault. Laura says, we need Chelsea after Abby to complete the circle. Abby blames Phyllis because she's the head of security. Phyllis blames Chelsea because of the bad guys. We need Chelsea to blame Abby for whatever reason. Then they can have the next margarita night caper. Frenemies forever, with Phyllis steering the boat into the riptide. Yeah, I mean, I do like the tension that's going on between the three people at the hotel, but sometimes it's a little hard to keep my mind straight. I mean, like you say, it's like Abby watching Phyllis, Phyllis watching Chelsea. Who's Chelsea gonna keep her eye on? I don't know. And is Chelsea gonna have some comeuppance here? Is anybody gonna be like, hey, Chelsea, so what was up about how you brought that guy into this hotel? And then you repeatedly lied about it when I asked you if there was a problem. Anybody gonna bring that up? Here's another thing that I am so glad Laura brought up. Laura says, those guests nodded when they decided to take advantage of the comped night and amenities at the Grand Phoenix. If extras speak a line, is there a pay difference? I noticed that too, and it was so darn irritating. I mean, here, Chelsea and Phyllis are offering these extras, these hotel guests, offering them the world. Oh, have a night at the spa on us. Oh, go get some dinner in our luxury restaurant or whatever. Offering them everything, doing damage control for the hotel. And the extras, all they could do was like shake their head or shake their head yes. It was shake their head no or shake their head yes and give various faces. It does make you wonder, why not just have them say yes? It must be a pay thing. I can only imagine that a paying or giving benefits to or something in the structure of management is what it has to be. There is some financial reason why those extras cannot speak. And it's the same reason that Victoria's secretary couldn't do anything but give eyes to the camera when she realized that Billy and Victoria were blinking behind those closed doors. The only thing I will say to you about that secretary scene, it was funny once. I didn't need it twice. They need to get somebody with some kind of sense of comedic timing. These writers aren't that funny, except for that line. that Summer had about admiring Kyle's skin. That was funny. But with comedic timing, like I think they hit that twice and they should have hit it once. It was funny when the secretary gave eyebrow raise to the camera the first time, but the second time it just wasn't necessary. You blew it. I'd have been talking about it if they did it once, but I didn't even mention it because I felt like it was just overdone. And you know how much I hate to drive a joke into the ground week after week. Hibiscus tea. They're making me do it. I wouldn't still be talking about hibiscus tea if they weren't constantly giving us hibiscus tea. Just saying. And now I'm just moving on. Daisy says Phyllis needs a new love interest. Someone who really cares about her. And I think she should also be a detective. Maybe Paul has an opening. But constantly messing with other people is making her look desperate. And I think it's time this character moved forward or even sideways to something new. Well, you know I agree with this, Daisy. I wondered if Chance immediately was intended to be a romantic pairing for Phyllis, but then it seemed like he was more interested in Abby. And then we had the tension with Chance and Adam and Phyllis, which made me think, I don't know, maybe Chance is only going to cozy up to Phyllis to keep her calm and keep her from investigating anything further. I am not sure, but I wouldn't mind seeing a romantic partner for Adam, but there's a slip. I wouldn't mind seeing a romantic partner for Phyllis. I wish it was Adam. But I think you make a good point that it'd be nice if it was somewhat healthy, because it's all coming off as desperate. I mean, that whole scene at Adam's penthouse was just Phyllis being desperate, and I didn't really like the way the guys were treating her either. I guess, you know, I shouldn't probably want Adam and Phyllis together because I didn't particularly like the way he was treating her. But then I also think that she is annoying. I mean, she has this way of just inserting herself, and, you know, it was a little much. Yeah, something has to happen with Phyllis, but I don't know what. Well, let's talk about new Chance. Diana says he's hot and his voice is very sexy. He definitely has that cool and mysterious factor about him. I don't know the old Chance, as I had stopped watching when he was on. I love this actor and had first seen him in a movie I saw on Netflix a few months ago. I'm glad to see him on Y&R. I hope he stays on the show for many years to come. Ooh, what movie was it? I'm curious to know. But yeah, I think he's got total potential. He's just a complete slam dunk for me right off the bat. And it's interesting too because I wasn't a huge fan of the previous Chance. And I think he was just a little too clean cut for me. Nothing wrong with character of Chance, but he just never really, he didn't light my fire. I think the previous iteration of Chance was all good boy. There was just nothing gray. There was nothing interesting about him. He was always the hero, and that's good, but I want a little bit of nuance, and I feel like we're gonna get that with this new guy. I hope he stays around. Gary says, you can see that he's not going anywhere. He would have been a better Dylan recast, but I don't want a Dylan recast. Dylan, Sharon, Ray would be an effective triangle where everyone is worthy, so the viewing is compelling. Too bad the Avery Bailey Clark return flirtation did not work out. False lead. It's really funny that you mentioned Dylan this week, because when I went to Soaps in Depth, the website, they had an article that said, what happened to Dylan McAvoy? And sometimes they do this. They just like pull a character out of nowhere but it's not usually out of nowhere. It's usually somehow, some way connected to the current story. Like, fans might be wondering who this person is because they were mentioned. And this week they did that with Dylan. And I agree. It is really funny that you said that, because I did immediately, when I saw New Chance, I was getting Dylan vibes. And maybe it's because he was a previous, like, you know, kind of blonde cop guy. But then I saw it on Soaps in Depth, and I thought, well, that's odd. Is there any chance that, I don't know. I mean, are they going to recast Dylan anytime soon? We did have that false lead with Jessica Collins saying that she was going to be returning with some old castmates or something, and we were speculating that possibly Avery Bailey Clark might come back. I kind of think now, though, she might have been talking about that Dolly Parton movie, maybe? Was she in that? I'm not sure, but we certainly haven't seen her on Y&R, so I don't think she's coming back anytime soon. Jamie says that she is so irritated about everyone calling him Chance Chancellor. It's either Philip Chancellor or it's Chance. There is no Chance Chancellor. They need to stop it. It's kind of like the hibiscus tea situation for me. Well, I gotta tell you, I was gonna mention this earlier, and then I saw your comment and I said, no, I'm gonna let Jamie have the glory here, because yes, it is so irritating. I am 100% on board with you. Chance is a nickname. It is the short nickname for Chancellor. Chance's name, his real actual name, is Philip Chancellor III. So call him Philip Chancellor III, call him PC3 if you have to, but Chance Chancellor is so bad. It is so dumb, it is so bad, I can't stop hearing it. It is right up there with hibiscus tea, which, by the way, I went back to Baskin Robbins this week. Did not go through the drive-thru. They can't seem to give me my change. I walked into the store, and sure enough, can you believe it? This is a combination Baskin Robbins Dunkin' Donuts. And sure enough, right on the signage, standing at the register, they're featuring some teas, and one of them was hibiscus. And so now it's just everywhere. I don't think I ever would have noticed it before in my entire life, but now here I am. It's everywhere. Hibiscus tea. I said, give me 2 scoops in a cup and I'll be on my way. Give me 2 scoops of ice cream in a cup and you can keep your hibiscus tea. Not for me, please. Ooh, so speaking of Chance here, this is great. Superplex says, so Dr. Nate operated on Chance when he donated a liver? I wish I could fill in this blank, Superplex, because I cannot. I heard that too. Who was it? Abby was introducing a salty looking Nate looking on while Abby was getting all close with Chance. Abby was introducing the two. Introducing Nate, salty looking Nate, and real happy looking Chance. And she said, oh, you guys already know each other, right? Because Dr. Nate did your liver donation thing. I don't remember that at all. And I thought to myself at the time, that must be something that happened. And I just don't remember it. Because, I mean, Nate has not been on the show cast as a doctor. I mean, I don't know the last time. I don't think there's ever been an adult cast of Nate prior to the current iteration. So I don't know how that could have happened on screen. Maybe it's something that was mentioned off screen that Y&R felt the need to bring back up because somebody would remember that there was a connection there, but that somebody is not me. Apparently it is not Superplex. So if anybody else wants to chime in and let us know, has that connection ever been mentioned? Did Chance donate a liver? And Nate did the operation? I don't remember it one little bit. Astra says, so Chance has time to punch and question Kane about the will stuff, but when Amanda comes in, he all of a sudden doesn't have time for her, and this was all before the hostage situation took place. Speaking of Amanda, she must be running from an abusive ex or something. Oh, yeah, I was, first of all, very frustrated with the pacing that was going on in that hotel room upstairs. Yeah, it was like he had plenty of time to talk to Kane, but no time for Amanda. Even when, yeah, it's like even before this hostage situation happened, he was supposedly on a mission. Okay, he's supposed to be watching Simon or performing some kind of duty. He was on a sting. The guy was downstairs, and Chance is just wandering around in the hotel room. He wasn't on his post. He wasn't paying attention to what was going on downstairs. It wasn't until the hostage situation broke out that he started, like, getting back into what he was there for. And Amanda running from an abusive ex. That's a really good theory. Yes, okay, so I'm so tempted to connect Amanda's caginess in with Colin, or potentially her still being Hillary, but you're saying maybe she just had an abusive ex. She did see a young man in the foyer last week that she seemed very startled by. Clearly something happened, but yes, an abusive ex is as good of a guess as any. I feel so sad that we could not get an Amanda Kane relationship. I know, I'm still going on about it, but Kamana, let me see if I got that right, pronounced like comma with an N in it. Kamana, I think that's it, Kamna. That's a nice name. Kamna says about Kane, I totally feel you. Other than being totally dreamy, Kane is a nuanced character with lots of shades of gray, perfect for soaps. I would have loved to have seen him in an alliance with Phyllis, romantic, naughty, or business. Or it would have been great to reinstate him as CEO of Chancellor and start up some corporate wars with Newman, Jabot, or even Hamilton Winters. Let's pray for the writers and producers to come to their senses. Well, thank you for the validation, Kamna. I was going to try to drop it this week and not focus on it too much, but you said it, so I'm just here agreeing. It just feels that there's not enough outrage on this topic. I feel nobody's really bringing it up that they're going to miss Kane. Maybe it's just because I'm bringing it up so often. But I want to know that I'm not alone. Well, speaking of cuts, ooh, Sandra says, in other news, has everyone heard that Days of Our Lives has released every cast member from their contracts? They have enough shows taped to get to the summer of 2020, but then, ... Ooh, yes. So I saw that news breaking, Wednesday, that NBC just up and let go the entire cast of Days of Our Lives, let them go from their contract. Now, from what I understand, from what little bit of sleuthing I've done, it sounds like Days of Our Lives has not been canceled, but they basically told everybody on cast, you're off contract. If you need to go find another job, then go find another job. We're going to take some time, and in early 2020, make a decision about whether or not we're going to keep going with this whole thing. So, Days of Our Lives has shows taped so far in advance. I mean, wow, that's really far ahead that viewers aren't going to notice a thing until the summer of 2020. So, this is some news, because there aren't that many soaps left. I mean, I have not been watching Days of Our Lives, but I mean, news of a soap potentially getting canceled is big news. And it kind of affects all of us in a way. It's hard not to internalize that and say, whoa, I mean, they're taking their time. They're gonna look at it early this year, and we'll know whether or not Days will be renewed. But I mean, at the end of the day, too, if they let everybody out of their contracts, some of those actors are gonna have to go and find other work. So even if Days does come back, who knows if they're gonna have the same characters? And if they do have the same characters, it'll probably be at a reduced rate. This is probably their way of saying, we're not gonna pay you this much. Oh, that is drastic. And it's so hard not to internalize that and think about what if that just happened to Y&R? I mean, what if out of the blue we're watching this show and all of a sudden they just announce that they let everybody out of their contract and they're going to decide whether or not to proceed. I mean, I was immediately like, what would I do? Not only what would I do without Y&R, but what would I do without Y&R Chat? I would have so much extra time. What would I do? Spend it with my family? No, thanks. Oh, I mean, Y&R and Y&R Chat is such a big part of my life for 25 years. So, I mean, boy, it's hard to hear that news. I really hope that Days gets picked back up. I mean, it's hard to say that knowing I don't watch it. But I have watched it. I mean, I've had some awareness of it for, since I started watching soaps. So I do hope it gets renewed again. Maybe I should start watching it and show them my solidarity, show them my support. I hope that if it doesn't get renewed, I mean, I hope they at least get an ending, because they wouldn't have filmed an ending if they just decided to stop, and that's not fair. I can't imagine Y&R getting canceled and then just nothing. It just don't come back. They don't even bother to do an ending. I mean, although in all fairness, that happens on a lot of shows. A lot of shows just get canceled and you never get an ending. I mean, I've had that happen a million times when I'm trying to watch something. It is so rare that a show would go on for this long. I mean, it seems like a lot of these shows, like on Netflix, for instance, they get 1, 2, 3 seasons if they're lucky, and then that's it. I mean, these are legacies that are spanning decades. Days of Our Lives is in their 55th season. It's just, I mean, in Y&R, what are they at? They're at about 40 years now, maybe more. So it's so hard to not worry about that. I love soap operas and I want the genre to survive, and I hope that this isn't an indicator of anything to come, although it certainly does worry me. I know that, didn't CBS just get re-bought out by Sony? I think there was just a merger there. So we just got to remember to keep supporting our shows. I hope Y&R is able to, weather this storm. It's not the first soap that we have seen potentially get canceled, but I just sure hope that if soaps have got to go, my goodness, I hope Y&R is the last one. I don't know what I'd do. Anna asked me last week, just out of curiosity, how many subscribers to Y&R Chat that I have. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't really know. I mean, I know there's something like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel, but I suspect the podcast is the larger platform, and I don't have any way of doing those metrics. I don't know how many. I really don't. I don't know how many people are tuned into this at all. It would be good to know, but I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I don't really try to grow the subscribership. I suppose I should, but I don't. There's a part of me, I think, that although I want soaps to be successful, I want soaps to be a genre, I want there to be many, I also really like my clubhouse. I kind of like being little. I kind of like, I don't know. I thought before, like, I would be sad if everybody in the world was suddenly into soaps and then it changed it. I wouldn't want that. So I want soaps to be strong enough to survive, but not so strong that it ruins them, So yeah, I don't know. Y&R Chat's definitely a little tugboat, though. I can tell you that. I don't think it's that big. Well, let's end on some good news, shall we? Gary had mentioned that he watched Peter Bergman on The Talk. I think it was Thursday's episode, the 15th. was the 15th, so maybe it was Fridays. Yeah, Fridays. So Peter Bergman went on to an episode of The Talk to celebrate his 30th year anniversary playing Jack on The Young and the Restless. And I just was, I had saw that he was going to do that, and I didn't make the time to watch it, but then Gary had said he watched it and really enjoyed it and was just so very impressed with the way that Peter Bergman presents himself, and he's just seems like a really genuine person. So I had to go and watch it, of course, and I got all those same impressions too. It's hard, I don't normally like to watch interviews and stuff like that with the cast, but I mean, he's a gem. I knew that he would not disappoint me. He's so poised and just seems like a really wonderful guy. And they talked a little bit about the character of Jack. I love that one of the hosts of The Talk is a fan of the show, and you could tell she was excited to see Jack Abbott. And it was a really wonderful interview. In fact, Peter Bergman choked up a little bit during the interview. If you have a chance to see it, it is at cbs.com. I think it's the November 15th episode, but it's the same one that Patrick Stewart was on, if you need to look it up. But one of the things that he revealed is that in honor of Jack's 30th anniversary, Peter Bergman's 30th anniversary, Y&R is going to be airing a special Jack-centered episode, and that is going to air on November 25th. Apparently, Tracy is going to hand Jack the finished pages of the Abbott family book, and he is going to spend the episode reading it. How wonderful. See, these are the things that just make me want soaps to survive. There's just no other genre where you could see decades of history with the same actor, with the same family, with the same show and the same characters. It's just such a special, special little nook. And I love it, and I was just so pleased to see him, and go watch the interview and kind of view that as a little bit of support for our Y&R stars and our Y&R. Okay, as usual, I've talked so long that my batteries are starting to die, so I am going to quickly jet out of here. But thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you come back next week. I hope you go to the website at yrchat.com. And yeah, I hope you keep watching Y&R. Keep tuning in. Keep those Nielsen ratings up. Okay, everybody, I love you so much. Have a great week.